It's 11:47 p.m. You're sitting at the kitchen table. The house is quiet. Maybe the kids are asleep. Maybe you live alone and the silence feels even louder. There's a soft hum from the refrigerator. A stack of mail sits in front of you. You already know what's inside. Bills. A credit card statement you haven't opened yet. A reminder that your savings account looks embarrassing for your age. You pull out your phone and do that thing you probably shouldn't do. You scroll. Someone your age just bought a rental property. Someone else is semi-retired at 42. A former classmate posted photos from a beach in Greece with a caption about financial freedom. And suddenly the thought creeps in. I'm over 40 and I'm broke. Did I miss my chance? You don't say it out loud, but you feel it. And maybe, just maybe, a small part of you has started to give up. Not dramatically, not all at once, but quietly, in the way you stop checking your retirement account, in the way you avoid thinking about the future, in the way you tell yourself, it is what it is. If that's you, I want you to stay with me. Because the story you're telling yourself right now might not be true. Most people think being broke over 40 means you failed, that you made too many mistakes, that you should have invested earlier, saved more, chosen a better career, married differently, avoided that one decision that changed everything. But that story leaves out something important. Life between 20 and 40 is rarely simple. It's student loans. It's helping your parents. It's raising children. It's divorces. It's medical bills. It's layoffs during recessions no one could control. It's staying in a job for stability instead of risk. It's choosing family over opportunity. It's surviving. We compare our bank accounts to someone else's highlight reel and forget the context of our own lives. There's also a myth that financial progress is supposed to be linear, that you steadily climb from your 20s to your 60s like a smooth staircase. In reality, most people's financial lives look more like a messy heartbeat monitor. Up, down, flat, unexpected drop, slow recovery, plateau. Being broke at 40 doesn't automatically mean you're irresponsible. Sometimes it means you were busy holding everything together. Another misunderstanding is this idea that the only way to win is to become wealthy, that if you're not on track for millions, you've already lost. That mindset turns normal people into quiet defeatists. But here's the truth most people don't say out loud. Your 40s are not the end of your financial story. In many ways, they are the first decade where you actually have enough life experience to make smarter decisions. The problem isn't your age. The problem is the shame attached to it. Shame makes you avoid. It makes you procrastinate. It makes you numb out. And avoidance is far more expensive than being broke. Let's slow this down. Imagine two people. One is 28, makes decent money and invests early. That's great. Time is on their side. Compound growth works quietly in the background. Now imagine someone who is 43. Maybe they have very little saved. They feel behind, but they have something the 28-year-old doesn't. By 40, you've seen enough of life to know what actually matters. You've probably made financial mistakes. You've probably trusted the wrong person, spent money on things that didn't last, stayed too long in situations that drained you. And if you're honest, you've probably learned from it. Financial recovery after 40 is less about extreme math and more about behavioral shifts. Let's talk about something simple but powerful. If someone at 43 decides to consistently set aside even a modest amount each month and does it with discipline for 20 years, that's 240 months of momentum. Even without complicated strategies, 240 months of steady behavior changes a life. The issue isn't that it's mathematically impossible. The issue is psychological resistance. When you feel behind, your brain wants relief, not strategy. It wants escape. It wants distraction. It wants to believe it's too late so it doesn't have to try. But here's something interesting about the human brain. We overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 10. At 40, 10 years sounds short, but think back to 2016. Think about how much your life changed between then and now. Jobs, relationships, health, where you live, who you are. 10 years is not short, it's transformative. Now let's bring this down to everyday life. You wake up, you go to work, you're tired. Maybe your job feels repetitive. Maybe you feel underpaid. You come home, you buy groceries, you pay rent or a mortgage. You help with homework or call your parents. You scroll at night because you're exhausted. Nothing dramatic, just life. The danger isn't the paycheck size, it's autopilot. Autopilot spending, autopilot career choices, autopilot thinking. When you're broke at 40, it's easy to believe the problem is income alone. And yes, income matters. But I've seen people double their income and still feel broke because their habits and emotional patterns stayed the same. Money is rarely just numbers, it's identity. If deep down you believe, I'm bad with money, you will unconsciously prove it. If you believe, I'm behind everyone, you'll avoid actions that make you feel exposed. The real shift starts when you stop asking, how do I catch up to everyone else? And start asking, how do I build stability for my real life? Those are different questions. Catching up is ego-driven. Stability is peace-driven. Let's talk about simple math without making this a lecture. If someone earns $60,000 a year and manages to redirect even 10% consistently over time, that's $6,000 a year. Over 15 to 20 years with modest growth, that becomes meaningful. Not flashy, not yacht level, but meaningful. Meaningful means less panic at 62. Meaningful means options. Meaningful means you don't feel trapped. And sometimes the biggest financial win over 40 isn't hitting $1 million. It's breaking the cycle of chaos. Chaos looks like overdraft fees, late payments, high-interest debt that quietly grows, subscriptions you forgot about, buying things to soothe stress. Calm looks boring. Automatic transfers, fewer accounts, clear numbers, a smaller lifestyle that feels intentional instead of forced. At this stage of life, boring is powerful. You also have leverage younger people don't. Experience at work, networks you've built over decades, a clearer understanding of your strengths. Maybe you're not going to become a tech founder, but maybe you can negotiate better. Maybe you can pivot into something adjacent to what you already know. Maybe you can increase income by 10 or 15% over time through positioning, not hustle. That matters more than chasing some dramatic overnight change. There's another piece people don't talk about: energy. In your 20s, you can grind recklessly. By 40, your energy is different. You care more about sleep, health, family, peace. So the plan has to match your energy. If your recovery strategy depends on 80-hour work weeks and constant side hustles, you'll quit. But if your strategy is steady, sane, and built around protecting your mental bandwidth, you'll stick with it. And consistency beats intensity. Here's the realization that changes everything. Being broke over 40 is not a verdict, it's a data point. A verdict says, this is who you are. A data point says, this is where you are. Where you are can change. When you shift from shame to curiosity, your decisions change. Instead of thinking, I'm terrible with money, you think, what patterns got me here? Instead of thinking, it's too late, you think, what would the next 10 calm years look like? That shift moves you from emotion-driven decisions to clarity-driven ones. And clarity is underrated. Clarity means you actually look at your numbers without spiraling. You know your monthly expenses, you know your debt, you know what's negotiable and what isn't. You stop guessing. When you see your situation clearly, it often looks less catastrophic than it felt at midnight. And here's something deeply freeing. You don't have to impress anyone anymore. At 40, you've probably tried that already. The car you stretched for, the vacation you put on credit, the house that was slightly too big. The turning point is realizing that your peace is worth more than looking successful. When you stop performing adulthood and start designing it, money decisions get simpler. You might choose a smaller place, a used car, fewer status purchases, not because you failed, but because you're optimizing for freedom instead of applause. That shift compounds faster than any stock. Let's bring this into real life. If you're over 40 and broke, the first step isn't some dramatic investment strategy. It's visibility. Sit down one weekend morning, coffee, quiet room, no distractions. Write down what you actually spend in a normal month. Not your ideal month, your real month. Rent or mortgage, utilities, food, insurance, subscriptions, debt payments, random spending. When you see it on paper, something changes. It becomes concrete. Then ask a simple question. Which of these expenses actually improve my life? Not which are socially expected, not which make me look successful, which genuinely reduce stress or bring joy. Sometimes trimming one or two high-leverage areas can free up more breathing room than obsessing over tiny cuts. Next, automate something small, even if it's a modest amount. The act of automating sends a signal to your brain that you are no longer in chaos mode. Then look at income calmly, not with panic, not with desperation, but strategically. Is there room to ask for a raise, to shift roles, to take on something aligned with skills you already have? At 40, your value often lies in reliability, communication, and judgment. Those are monetizable, but avoid the trap of trying to fix everything in 3 months. This is about trajectory, not speed. If you improve your net position slowly and consistently for 5 years, your life at 45 or 50 will feel very different. Also protect your mental health. Financial anxiety can make you irritable, distant, and exhausted. It can strain marriages. It can make you feel ashamed around friends. Talk about it, not dramatically, just honestly. I've been stressed about money lately. You'd be surprised how many people your age whisper back, me too. Finally, redefine success for this stage. Success at 22 might have meant ambition. Success at 40 might mean stability. Success at 50 might mean optionality. Your definition is allowed to evolve. If you're over 40 and broke, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not too late. You are not uniquely flawed. You are not the only one sitting at a kitchen table at night wondering how it all moves so fast. This chapter can still be strong. Not flashy, not perfect, but strong. There is something powerful about rebuilding with maturity. You're less impulsive, less ego-driven, more aware of consequences. That awareness is an asset. Progress at this stage isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming steadier. Maybe you won't retire early. Maybe you won't own 10 properties, but you can build a life where bills don't control your mood, where you have savings for emergencies, where you feel less panic when the future comes up in conversation, and that is not small. 10 calm, consistent years can rewrite a story. So before you give up, before you decide the window has closed, take a breath. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. And experience, used wisely, is one of the most valuable assets you have. Progress beats perfection every time.